First of all, a little bit of 528 hertz, which is the frequency of love. Hello. Second of all, I have an itchy right nipple. Now, this has never happened before, and it could be serious. I'm going to have to Google it later when I actually have cell phone reception. But for now, I'm going to use this Satya Calendula balm that I got at some kind of eco-friendly show at some point. That might help. I like to carry a lot of useful things with me. Speaking of which, I purchased this because I like to walk in parks by myself, and this way I might prevent some kind of animal attack, including human animals, if you know what I mean. I think this picture says it all. Oh yes, this woman is so afraid of dog and coyote attacks when she's running alone. I'm sure. And that's why I'm sure I got it too. So I'm not sure if it's legal to carry it, but I feel like I need to protect my personal safety because part of my lifestyle design is being out and about in parks because I love nature, but not all nature and parks are safe for single women walking alone. And yesterday I didn't officially talk with myself, so I have a lot to say. I did a little bit of talking with myself when I was at first aid, and I'll put that clip in here somewhere. Maybe I already did. Feeling lots of energy today, but I'm stuck in first aid class, and it's interesting for sure. And I'm eating some Costco walnuts, and they taste gross. I usually get walnuts from realrawfood.com. They have organic, soaked, and sprouted and re-dried walnuts that melt in your mouth. They taste so good. These ones taste like crap. Maybe it's because I've been eating healthier, so crappy walnuts taste like crap. And yesterday at first aid, there was this interesting character, this guy, and he was such a cowboy with cowboy boots and his cowboy hat and his kind of dirty, cool jeans, and I couldn't stop staring at him because he was such an interesting character. He was so himself. He was this cowboy guy and comfortable with it, and he spoke like a cowboy. He's like, oh, I was working on a dairy farm and things like that. And yeah, it was fascinating. And so I think I was drawn to that energy of just being a certain type of character. And I want to create that as part of my lifestyle design. I was thinking of getting some pink highlights at some point to make myself into a bit of a character and not stuck on one character. This is one character, but I want to have a manic alter ego to embody my mania further, not necessarily to be that all the time and to be stuck in that, but to be mutable and to be able to transform when I want to. So I did order a pink tutu on eBay. It's going to take a while to get to me, but it could be something handy for rollerblading in. And when I was in California, I was in a parade and wore a tutu and rollerblades, and people really thought it was fun. So fun things like that. Dun, 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 dun. And it could also be handy for jumping on a trampoline somewhere, because I feel like part of my lifestyle design is possibly being mobile and having my trampoline and my rollerblades with me and driving around and having fun. And I've had that dream for a while. That might be part of my next dream. So in the meantime, it'll be interesting to see if I create that dream or if I do the full-time job thing at some point. So I feel like it's a bit of a race to create my next lifestyle design, to stay a step ahead of maybe doing the full-time job thing, because I don't know if that's in alignment with my nervous system. So I'm going to be jumping around a lot because I have a lot to say. I have a couple clips from yesterday that I'll put in one about something I read on Twitter related to mental health. So I clicked on my first Twitter link in days. I just couldn't help myself. It says, "We got funded. Can't wait to work with our team to help involuntary patients better understand their rights." So I clicked on it. And it doesn't say much, but it says, "Improving Mental Health Act Rights, Advice, Communications, and Practices." Well, how about no mental health act, like in other provinces? And then I scrolled down. This is the Michael Smith Foundation for Health Research. And this grant or award is right in there with disseminating infographic scientific data about women's genital pain using social media. I think I'll go back to ordering a pink tutu on eBay. Dun, 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 dun. And another is I found my magical backpack. It's so cool looking. It'll take a while to get here too. I think I found my magical backpack. But I can see my manic self with this magical backpack and a tutu on rollerblades and some kind of camper van going around having fun. Because I do feel part of this design is sharing all I want to share related to mental health and also micronutrients, and showing what kind of life the micronutrients can create without getting stuck in staying within that limited framework, showing that one can create a playful, fun, creative life with the right nutrition and who knows what. And also I feel like in this flow, that's part of what is healing, is designing and creating and flowing, and it becomes one process of creating one's life moment to moment. And I've done a lot of lifestyle design lately, that's for sure. And something I thought of recently, and I think I touched on it briefly, but I'll touch on it again, is that in BC, where I live, they have a monthly nutrition supplement for people to get a bit of money if they're on disability in order to cover nutrition and vitamins and minerals and things. So I'm going to see if I can qualify for that based on some of the research on micronutrients. I don't know if it'll work, but it'll still be interesting to see, because if the financial barrier could be removed, then that would be something. And if it can't be, based on the way it is now, maybe making it so there is a nutrition and vitamin supplement for people who have mental health diagnoses who are on disability. And also, if I'm able to show that by taking these micronutrients, I'm able to transition off disability, when a lot of people who get diagnosed with a serious and persistent mental illness rarely do end up returning to work or whatever. And I don't even think it's a matter of returning to some meaningless job, but if the micronutrients help to design and create a life of one's design and creation, that's really powerful. And that's what I'm going to be working on in these next months. And I can imagine myself in mid-February, when I share this process, taking off in my outreach, outplay, overflow camper van. So I did go and look at camper vans and things today, and this is very, very preliminary research. And I don't think I want one of those little trailers. I think I want an all-in-one. And I was looking at some all-in-ones, and some of them are really expensive, crazy expensive. And so here's some of the things that I found. I'm just about to look at some camper vans to start the dream research. I really don't know anything about them, but it's part of my dream to have some kind of little camper van type thing. And maybe that's a possibility for next year. So here I go. Ooh, look at the name of this one. This is cool. Neato. Wonder how much this costs. Nearly $200,000. Now this thing's 42 grand. It's one that goes on a big truck. Here's one that's got the vehicle integrated. Now these little trailer guys, these mini trailer guys are about 33,000. This one's cute, it's just little. Kind of like ones like this. Small. It's not open though, so I can't go inside. This is the case I carry my Hearty Nutritionals in. So I have my micronutrients at the back in here, and then here are my amino acids. And it's time to take 2 of these on an empty stomach, and then I'll take some more of the micronutrients 15 minutes after that. And then afterwards I googled small camper vans, ones that you can still park in a parking spot. And there is a website called sportsmobile.com where you can custom order and custom design a little camper van that looks like a regular van. And they turn it into a camper van. And the cool thing about the custom is that for me, I don't want a TV in my space. And not only is that an amount of money, but it also takes up space. I could have cupboards there where there might be a TV. I don't want a microwave. There's a spot for a microwave. I don't need one. I don't need it wired in. I don't need the power for it. I don't need the microwave. I don't like microwaves. And if I perhaps transition back to raw food only, which I might, not now, it's very challenging to do as the months get colder. But imagine in February, or say maybe June, the 2-year mark, June 20th, 2018, if I take off in a camper van, then it'll be warm. I might travel through BC because it'll be warm here. And then after that, in October, head south. And then it'll be warm and there'll be lots of raw food down there. So saying that, I might not need a stove. And those are some big items. So I could have more storage space, a space for a Blendtec blender, and different raw food things. So I could go back to my raw food happy self. Back to how I was before I was ever labeled with a mental illness. So when I go home, I'm going to investigate that and maybe design a custom camper van that is for a raw vegan. Right now I'm a vegetarian, but I do resonate more with vegan, and when I do resonate with vegan, I resonate more with raw vegan, and I resonate more with, raw, not cooked and all fancy and things like that. So I wouldn't need an oven. I could have a space for my juicer, things like that. So that was really exciting. And back to the amount of money for nutrition for the supplement, it needs to have a couple categories to qualify, and the 2 that I thought would apply to mental health are malnutrition and also serious neurological degeneration. And with all the talk about how there's cognitive decline and cognitive deficits, well, that's serious neurological degeneration that could threaten life. And also malnutrition, and these nutrients show that they nutrate to the point where one can function without medication. Right now, if I were to stop taking the micronutrients, I would be in grave danger. And that is part of the supplement form. And I took some screenshots of the form, so I'll flash it in here. So I'm trying to see if the stuff that I can do related to mental health might help other people in the future to go on this journey that I've gone on, by removing the financial barrier, by removing some of the fear, by showing the process that I've gone through, by showing what's possible by designing a life of one's dreams and living it. And I'll go back and touch on things like that when I remember them as I'm talking to myself, because I do have a lot to talk about. And another thing I did last night that was kind of a cool experiment that I realized I could do because I have a second phone for work was I did the coherence breathing that I used to do a couple months ago, especially when I was tapering off the meds, and I used it as a gesture to make my heart feel safe. So I did the coherence breathing with the Complete Coherence app. So you put on the chest strap for that and use the app on my iPhone, and then put the Muse app on my little Android phone that I have for work, because the Muse app is free, whereas the Complete Coherence app I think was about $10. So I was breathing in coherence with my eyes open while having the Muse brain sensing headband on. And it was interesting because my brain didn't stay in a calm state the whole time like it does if I close my eyes. I think the difference is closing my eyes. So I have to keep my eyes open in order to make sure that I'm following the breath cycle on the Muse app. So that's why I had my eyes open, but then it showed that my brain wasn't staying in the calm state, which I noticed after, because the Muse data comes after. This is confusing just to explain it without showing it, so I might do a video of the setup that I've used to illustrate it better. But I also noticed that, oh, it's so quiet, I can hear that bird flying overhead. And it's so far away. That's cool. I love that sound. I first heard that sound in California. The sound of a bird flying. These are the beautiful sounds that we miss in the noise of the world. Anyways, I have to keep my eyes open to follow the breaths per minute, which is part of the coherence breathing, is to breathe at this steady rate. And I do 4 breaths per minute, which is the slowest. And I found that that way I could stay in coherence. But I noticed that on Muse, I had 56 recoveries when usually I only have about 10 or something, and I only earned about 4 birds or 6 birds or something. But I did notice too that my brain rhythmically went between active and calm and active and calm, and it almost seemed like a heartbeat. And I don't think this was a bad thing. I feel like maybe a different algorithm could be developed where the brain is naturally going from active to calm to active to calm to active to calm. It's not staying hyper aroused and active and disturbed, but it's going back into a calm, like being awake and alert, and then the brain calms down, and then it notices something, and then it calms down. This could actually be possibly an algorithm of Krishnamurti's choiceless awareness, of being aware of something and then it catching one's attention and then being calm and then being aware choicelessly just from one thing to the next. And I don't know, I'm just making that up.